So how are things there with the pandemic?
Yeah, it's like a semi lockdown, right? So it's like sporting events or something cannot be done before 1 September 1st. The how do you say, the gyms can be opened on July 1st. Again, first it was September, but they changed it to July. And since like in 2 or 3 days, like more public places will go open and stuff, but it's still like how do you say that, social distancing and all kind of that. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty much.
you're in the Netherlands, right?
Yeah, I'm in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I'm in Canada, and it's very similar here. Like gyms
Okay.
are opening up. Gyms open up on the 5th, June 5th. They open up,
Yeah.
but same sort of thing, like 6 feet apart. I don't really know how it's gonna all happen, but it's crazy. It's weird.
Yeah, it's I mean, you mean that's the social distancing thing, man. People try, but it's hard, man. When you I have a job where I deliver mail also in a shopping mall, and that shopping mall is full with people, and those people try to social distance, but when you're walking with your car, with your how do you say that, when you're walking in the store, when you're with your basket, you're
Yep.
walking and you cross each other, it's still not social distancing. So it's hard, you pretty much can't control that. So
Yeah, it's weird. It's especially weird in the MMA world. Like you think about how fighters, there's nothing more personal than two guys getting in there and fighting.
yeah.
Like there's no social distancing going on there. How do you feel about the UFC doing what they did? I mean, obviously as a fan, I love it. But I guess from someone on the other side of the world, I've never had a chance to speak with someone who's experiencing it in Europe. What's your take on it? And I guess what's the take of the MMA community in Europe as a whole on what the UFC is doing?
Sort of a mind change about it, man. First, I was against it. I was like, nah, this is probably not good. It's too early. But man, I mean, you even see now, like, even sport leagues, like, man, we have soccer is coming back.
Yep.
Even the Bundesliga in Germany already started. Already have 3 weeks or 2 weeks, but three. How do you say that?
Games, 3 games.
Games already done. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, man. We over here we stopped the competition. Won't be any more soccer until September 1st. But I don't know what's gonna happen, man. What I think, I'm not against it right now at the moment because there are too many questions. People say like it's bad, but nobody exactly knows what's going on. That's pretty much it. And to say you have to wait till we have something to handle the virus, I don't know, man. I mean, that can take years. And do we have to stop everything for years? I don't think that's a good idea. So if you can do it safe, do it. I have the feeling the UFC tries to do everything safe. The fighters are happy about it. What can I say? I'm also a big fan, so I'm happy with it. But hey, man, I mean, even one Saturday without the UFC is a pretty shitty Saturday sometimes. Sorry if I can say that. I don't know if I can say that, but you know, I love MMA, so we have also Titan later. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, obviously, a huge MMA fan too, and the only reason I started this was because there was no UFC on TV, right? So I was like, I need to talk to some people, and I never thought it would take off. I never thought I'd have the chance to speak with people I admired in the MMA world, and I always thought you were one of the best at leaking information, getting information out quick and timely, and that's why I wanted to have you on. I had Farah Hanoun, who I also thought was really, really good at it. So thanks again for taking the time, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm honored you said that, man. I mean, I don't see myself as that great or anything what you said, but man, I'm happy to be on. Um, Farah's great, by the way. She's
Yeah.
one of my favorites for years. So I'm really happy she's now at MMA Junkie because she really deserves that, man. I mean, she has done so much, and I think she was really underappreciated first. Not many people know about her. They know UFC news alerts, but they don't know the
Yeah.
person behind it. Well, some people are like, Who's this dude from MMA or UFC news alerts?" And this is a girl, and she's really good. So I'm happy for her. She's one of the best, definitely 100%.
Yeah, I agree. Especially like you think about it, there's not many people, there's not many girls that are involved in it, and then
No,
there's not anybody from the Middle East. So
no.
she kind of, she's the only one, and really something to admire. What's one of the main questions I have? I guess I had something similar for her too, but Dutch MMA
Yeah.
is obviously you have guys like Alistair Overeem, Bas Rutten, but there's not many fighters. I mean, the ones that are out there are massive, huge draws, and I think a lot of them are kickboxers. What do you think it'll take before MMA in the Netherlands kicks off?
The thing is, here in the Netherlands, it's very focused on stand-up, on stand-up like kickboxing, K1. The Dutch were probably the best K1 fighters back in the day, and that's still something, man. K1 is very popular, or kickboxing is very popular still. You see in Glory how many Dutch fighters are there. Even in one championship now, we have, I forgot his name, Tariq Babas, the champion right now, which I forgot his name, which is crazy. Elias Nahachi, there you have it. So we have some good fighters, but many are focused on kickboxing. You have a very good wrestling gym in Amsterdam, which is Cops Gym. And you have guys like Musasi trains there often, Costello Van Steen is also a Bellator guy. I think even, what's his name again? Douglas Lima even trained there. He trained with Musasi there, and now they're probably going to fight each other. They were supposed to fight each other already, but due to this pandemic, it's been canceled. But I mean, that's a really strong wrestling gym, and that's probably, in my opinion, is the best wrestling gym in the Netherlands. And you have Renier de Ridder, Peter Boyce, both are at one championship. They also train often there, but they're mostly based in Breda, which is more. It's how do you say that? It's not close to Amsterdam. It's like a 2 hour or 1.5 hour drive. That's not close for us. I know for Americans and Canadians, a 1.5 hour, 2 hour drive is close. For us, that's not close. So
Yeah, well,
so
in Europe it's different. In an hour, you're in like four countries.
yeah,
Here, in an hour, I'm still in the same province. Like it's
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty much because people are like, people are always like, if you're from Europe, you are backing all of Europe, but that's not really true. We are different countries, all. I respect everybody from Europe, no disrespect, but we're different countries, man. It doesn't mean like it's not like the USA, The USA, you have 50 states, and it's like it's one country, but it's still 50 states, And Canada is also parted in. You have, for example. Give me some states, man.
yeah.
You
We have
know.
we have provinces, so we have
Yeah,
Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick. Yeah.
exactly. So those are also this one country, but everything is separate as well, and it's over here as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But we have some good fighters, I think. But the basics are have to be good. You have Ranier the Rhythm now. He's like 10-0, I think. He's in one championship, close to the gold over there. And he's very good at jiu-jitsu. He has his own school, Combat Brothers, BJJ, I think, or MMA. So, and we have some upcomers who are still on the local circuit who have, we need some push, but we will see what's going to happen, man. I mean, I think kickboxing will always be number one over here because the kickboxers are still very popular. People are more into kickboxing still than into MMA in the Netherlands over here. Personally, I love MMA more than kickboxing, but that's my opinion, But yeah, that's pretty basically it, I think.
Yeah, I think like Stefan Struve is probably the only kind of good example of someone who's kind of excelled at submissions. Where
Yeah.
even the kickboxers from the Netherlands, Alistair Overeem, Jermaine Durandamy, they all have a stand-up base. So I think Stefan Struve is the exception. Do you think something like the Ultimate Fighter or something like that in the Netherlands or even in Europe as a general would entice people to transition into MMA?
I don't know, man. It pretty much depends who will enter. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have an ultimate, we had the Ultimate Fighter with what was that? With was that Conor against Faber again? And it was like a European versus Americans, and actually two Dutch guys tried out for that one and actually made the elimination rounds, but they got both eliminated. They got eliminated by Saul Rogers and by I don't know against who else he got eliminated. Saul Rogers was possibly even in the final. You know, he was in the final until he got taken off that final because he lied on his application form or something. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but it's hard to say. It's hard to say, man. It's really hard to say.
What do you think about what did you think about Alistair Overeem's performance a couple of weeks ago? Obviously, a lot of emotions due to Walt Harris's the tragedy and whatnot. So I was rooting for Walt because of that. I'm a huge fan of Alistair Overeem. How did you think he looked? I mean, he got rocked and he came back and he looked incredible.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think many people were kind of listen. Alistair also always gets bashed here in the Netherlands for his chin, you know. And man, that chin held up pretty well, man, in that fight, you know. And he came back second round. Walt was heavily gassed, I think, from the first round. He took it all out on him and over him, but he actually the referee could have stepped in, though nobody would have complained, probably also over him not, but he didn't. And over him did perfect, man. He came back, a perfect win for him, back on track pretty much. And listen, man, over him does pretty well, I think. I mean, he lost to Rosenstruik. But he was winning that fight, man. He would have won that 50-45 if he wasn't getting knocked out at that moment. So it's hard to say what's going to happen next for him. I don't know. I think he still has that feeling to get for the title once again, last run for the title. I like to see him getting matched up with Derek Lewis. I think that's a fight to make. Definitely now, Volkov is still matched with Curtis Blades, but they still don't have a date for that one. So. Yeah, I like that fight, for example. And for Walt Harris, man, that was tough to watch, man. You know, I mean, we're all human beings. We all have feelings about certain things, and that's probably the worst thing that can happen to a person, you know. And personally, you know, I'm from the Netherlands, but I would have found it great if Walt Harris would have won. You know, I really thought that would have been great. But man, listen, for me as a Dutch guy, you know, I'm happy Overeem won, but man, I feel bad for Harris as well, but thank God both guys were cool about it after it. I think Overeem, probably the perfect guy if he won against Harris, how he handled that in the cage perfectly, man. A veteran, a great guy, and yeah, let's see what happens next, man.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that division's kind of weird with everything going on with Stipe and Cormier. And obviously, Overeem has fought everybody that exists at heavyweight. So it's really hard to match him up. And Derek Lewis is pretty much the only guy there that he hasn't fought. So I like that fight, too. I think it makes a lot of sense. What do you think about this weekend's card? I mean, I think it's probably, since the pandemic, it's probably the weakest card. In my opinion. I mean, other than the main event and co-main, there's not a whole lot of excitement there. Like, you look back at 249, and every fight on that card could have been a main event, pretty much. I'm still excited to watch it. I love it. But how do you kind of like explain to non-UFC fans, like, yeah, you know, it's not as great?
Yeah, man. I mean, the UFC. The thing is, it's a fight night, right? So you already know, and it's during a pandemic, and you have to also see the UFC has to find fighters who want to fight during the pandemic, and they have to come from the US or have to live in the US because they can't get somebody from outside. So it's hard. It's hard for me to. I'm very critical on the UFC all the time. So, but at this time, it's hard for me to criticize the UFC. I'm already happy we're having a card. You know, yeah. I think there are some sneaky good fights on that, man. You have like Billy Quarantillo against Spike Carlisle. That's a fun fight. I think Brandon Royval against Timothy Elliott is a fun fight. Louis Smolka against Casey Kenny is a fun fight. Besides the main event is great, in my opinion. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, if Woodley turns up Woodley, he is great, you know, and Burns has done so great since his transition to welterweight, you know. So I'm really looking forward to that fight as well. It's just, and I even think Antonina against Caitlin Chukagian, that fight, man, it's like number 2 against number 13. But Antonina is such a good kickboxer, Muay Thai fighter, and Caitlin is also a stand-up fighter. So I'm really intrigued by that one. I will mute the TV for that one for sure, but I'm definitely gonna watch it because, man, that's gonna hurt my ears, man. That fight, I'm sure about that. So
Valentina's yelling is gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be interesting, especially because Caitlin's fighting sisters back to back. I don't think that's ever really happened, where someone's fighting both siblings. Like even when you think about the Diaz brothers, I don't think anyone's fought both of them.
Yeah, Japanese.
And if they
Exactly.
have, it's not. It wasn't back to back too.
No.
So it's very very unusual. But I mean, it's going to be exciting because it's going to be a tough fight, and I really like that one. So I think that's going to be a good fight. But I mean, overall, I think the card is, like you said, a lot of exciting fights, but not big names.
Yeah.
What do you think about Fight Island? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of talk about it, but I think something needs to be done. Like you said, a lot of these guys can't get into the U.S. Leon Edwards possibly losing a title shot because of it. I think it's important. Do you think the Fight Island's necessary, or do you think you just wait a couple weeks and let it go?
The thing is, we don't know when this stops, you know? So I like the backup plan with the Fight Island, you know? I don't know what they're going to do, but man, but what Usman said, man, come on. He's like, yeah, Edwards is the most deserving guy, he said, but he can get into the U.S. or something. Just let's do Conor. But Conor is also not in the U.S. He's in Ireland, as far as I'm concerned. So it's pretty much the same thing, you know? So if you want to make the Edwards fight, the rematch between Kamaru and Edwards, you can do it on Fight Island, you know? But I probably prefer the Kamaru Usman Masvidal fight because I think that's the one they should do right now. And Edwards, they can still do Edwards, man. I mean, I have no problem with it. I still think Edwards has to maybe fight some guy like I like Covington against Edwards, for example, man. I mean, that would be great, you know. I don't want to say Edwards still needs a name before the title shot, but I actually feel that way. But it's pretty much unfair because he should have fought Woodley earlier in March in England. So that's pretty much sucked for him that it fell through to the COVID. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Fight Island. I think you as well. So I want to know where it is, how it's going to be. Did you saw the Jurassic Park intro like somebody did on Twitter?
Yeah. that looks unreal. That'd be crazy. I want to know where it is. But it would also be kind of neat if they never told us. Like if it was just this mysterious island where they just flew people in and out, but no one ever knew.
Yeah, that would be great. But
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, but they will never can keep that a secret. You remember when the Tachi Palace was almost how do you say that? They want to keep that a secret, but that also didn't come true. So
yeah, it'll come out. It'll eventually get out.
Yeah.
But it would be neat if it was just like this mysterious island.
Yeah.
What got you into the podcast? I mean, it's kind of cool to see a podcast, MMA podcast from the Netherlands. A lot of the ones I follow are from here. What got you into doing it?
I actually think we haven't done a podcast in a long time anymore. But do you want to know what got me into podcast or into MMA in general?
I guess both, into podcasting and MMA.
And into MMA, it's more like I started with watching kickboxing. You know, like I said, it's popular in the Netherlands. So it was on TV. Yeah. And I remember when I was watching kickboxing. You're gonna watch more, you know, on YouTube. You're gonna watch more, and then out of a sudden, I bought all K1 tournaments in the store, you know, and I watched them all. And there was a fight on like Frank Shamrock against Elvis Sinosik, I think, was also, and it was a K1, but it was an MMA fight. So I was like, okay, great, let me check this out. And then I saw a DVD, which was very cheap, was the UFC 63 BJ Penn against Matt Hughes in the store. So I bought that one as well. And I was watching back then with my dad, and he's like, "This is fun, man." And then GSP came inside the cage and like, "I'm not impressed by your performance," you know, that kind of thing. So and then my dad is like, "Dude, I have to see this fight between GSP and Matt Hughes. Can you get it?" And I was like, I'm going to the store the next day, and I saw UFC 65 over there, and I got that on as well. So watching, and that's how it got rolling. And I really started to watch live around UFC 87, I think, and that was like John Jones' debut against Andre Guzmão. So that was pretty fun. Fought against John Fitch. I think Huerta fought Florian and Lesnar fought Herring. So that's when I pretty much started to watch UFC live. And now for, how do you say that? And then keep watching, you know, and start watching more. Not only UFC, starting watching Bellator, starting watching ACA now as well, Titan, all these One Championship, all these organizations, you know. And now at MMA DNA with a few guys, 7 guys. We're doing MMA DNA. We're very, yeah, we really like it. I mean, it's kind of, it was a hobby. It's still a hobby, but we are very serious about it. We have some serious groups now and then, so we're very serious about it. And yeah, that's pretty much how it got rolling. My love for MMA, and actually I love kickboxing first, then MMA, but now it's really like MMA 95%, kickboxing 5%. And the podcast is yeah, we didn't do too much podcast anymore for some reason. I don't know actually why. I always enjoy that. But I still do podcasts at Loudmouth MMA with Max Friedman and with Stevie Ray. Not the Stevie Ray fighter, but another guy. So.
Yeah, I like Stevie Ray, the fighter. I wanted to get him on my show. Stevie Ray is awesome, but no, it's cool that people like. I mean, I started this very similarly. It was, I love MMA. They took it away from me with the pandemic, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna reach out there to people I admire, fighters, organization owners, and stuff like that, and very similar. And I think the message here is just kind of like, if it's something you love, man, just go out there and do something with it. It doesn't have to be about making money. It's just fun.
Wow, 100%. Do you love other sports as well?
Auto sports?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other sports.
Oh, other sports. Yeah, I've soccer.
Yeah.
Diehard soccer fan and hockey fan as well. Those are the 3 main ones: MMA, soccer, and hockey. But yeah, what about you?
Yeah. Soccer and MMA. Those are the 2.
The World Cup 2010. How did that feel?
I mean, if everybody is still salty about it, I actually wasn't. In my opinion, the Netherlands, that whole tournament, I hope nobody hears me, they sucked. Besides the Brazil second half, the Brazil second half was great, but after that they kind of got lucky against Uruguay, because Uruguay wasn't that much less than them, and then they I want to say they fought, then they battled against Spain, and everybody's like they were better than Spain. In my opinion, they weren't better than Spain, but they got a huge chance with Arjen Robben, with Casillas. Yeah. With his toe, he took that ball out. But I wasn't salty about it, man. I'm much more a fan of my club. I'm a huge Ajax fan, so that's my team. And that's more important than everything else. Than Dutch. How do you say that? That national country Dutch. Ajax, my club, 100%.
Yeah, I'm from Spain originally. Yeah. Like my family's Spanish, so that World Cup felt great.
Okay. Congrats. Okay.
Like I was in Spain for it, so the celebrations were crazy, and I'm a Barcelona fan.
Okay. And I like you even more.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, we steal a lot of your players. We have Frankie De Jong on our team now, so very similar styles. Academies are very similar. Their philosophies are very similar. I have a lot of respect for Ajax as well.
Awesome. But then let me ask you one more question. June 13th, 2014, Spain against the Netherlands in Brazil.
Yeah, that was when we lost badly, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when, what's his name? Not Arjen, the other guy, Van Persie. Van Persie scored that crazy header. Yeah, it didn't feel as good, but you know what? I'm okay with winning a final. I think that was
of course. 100%. I agree with you.
I think it was a much bigger win, and I was very, very happy with that.
Yeah, and you guys had a great team back then, man. Absolutely. Probably that whole period of the Spain, like the 2008 still 2014, that era was amazing for Spain, I think.
Yeah.
Absolute great team back then. So, no shame in losing to you guys after extra time, but sucks to have lost 3 times in the World Cup final. So, yeah.
Yeah, you guys haven't won any yet. It was just the 3rd time was supposed to be the charm. I was scared. I was like, I thought, well, it was a very weird final because I didn't think Spain didn't play their game. And I think Netherlands did a really good job of making Spain play poorly. Like there was a lot of aggression, and Spain doesn't play that way. So I thought, Netherlands did a really good job of taking Spain out of their comfort zone. So I was really scared going into the extra time because I thought if it went to penalties, I thought Netherlands were going to win it.
We never win with penalties, man. Only once.
Neither do we. Neither do we. So I thought it was the Netherlands' best chance to win it was in penalties. And I was so happy when Iniesta scored. I went crazy.
People here as well, but not for the same reason.
All right, man. I thank you very much for coming on. I really like your stuff. I've always followed your pages. I think you're one of the best at getting stuff out frequently. And so if anyone wants to find fights quickly, he's the guy to follow. So thanks again for the time, man. And how do you even manage to stay up? Like you'd have to stay up to like 5 a.m. for some of these to like report some of these fights.
So, by the way, thanks for having me. Yeah, I normally sleep between like 4 a.m. and 10 a.m. Those are my sleeping times, you know. So I can do that because my work starts at like 11:30. So that's why I can do that. But sometimes it's hard sometimes, man. I'm not gonna lie. So for example, when we had like there was a card announcement on at 4 a.m. and I just wanted to step into my bed, you know, 4 a.m. and I see it, it's like no way, and I have to work for a long time tomorrow, and I can't put it up early. I can't ask the other guys, but they have to work as well. So I was like, oh no, I just start my computer again. I start typing and it was like 5:30 when I got to sleep. So, yeah, whatever. You know, sometimes I do it, sometimes not. But it's kind of stressy sometimes, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. I mean, you want to do it good, but you want to do it quick as well because you want to do some other stuff as well. So sometimes it's kind of, man. Sometimes it's getting crazy, man. Like when was that last week when we get like, I was writing some articles, 4 fight announcements. Okay, now I'm done. There's another one. Damn. Writing article. Now I'm done. Oh, 2, another one. Then I got to scoop myself, so I have to write an article as well. So you know, you keep being busy sometimes, and then you know sometimes days there's nothing, literally almost nothing to do. You know, so I don't know, but I guess that's it. You know.
Yeah, you've been really, I find that you're really quick on it. And not only quick, I think it's accurate. And I think that's key. A lot of people will just hear something and then they fire it out and then the fight doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to being fast and accurate, I always think you, Farah, Nolan, I think you three are some of the best when it comes to reporting things quickly. And that's how I started following you. I was like, I like this. So because I like to know stuff ahead of time and as quickly as possible. And I think you're one of the best at doing that.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it, man. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I pretty much get a headache, man, sometimes with the UFC with those events. You know, I keep getting that fight night. You know, UFC does UFC on ESPN Plus, but I prefer doing just the fight night, UFC Fight Night 172, 173. And then out of a sudden, they changed it to UFC on ESPN 9. I was like, oh my God, man, I have to change everything again, you know? So I'm pretty much stopped with calling it fight night, but I just adjusted after they announced it, you know, because it's got messy and people is like, why you call it like this when it's like this? Yeah, I don't know, man. They change it all the time, you know, with the broadcasting. So I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, and on top of that, they've canceled events, they've renamed events. There's a pandemic, so everything's been shifted. So
Yeah. So they actually canceled 3 fight nights event. They say canceled. They didn't say postponed. They say canceled on their website. So I was like, it's like 172 is canceled, 173 and 174. So we start again with 175. And out of a sudden, it's 172. It's like, so it was postponed, not canceled. You know, so they don't know what they are doing themselves, I guess. But you know, you have to apply their rules because otherwise you're wrong. You know, so I don't know how to do that.
All right, man. Thanks for the time, and I know it's late there, but like you said, you stay up till 4 a.m. anyway. But
Yeah.
thanks for taking the time. I know it's late, so all the best, man. Keep in touch. I really like your stuff and your content, so we'll have to do this again soon.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me. And if you want to do this again, just hit me up. I'll reply ASAP, man.
Yeah, you're really quick at replying. So, man, thank you. All the best.
All the best to you as well, man. Thanks.
Yeah, stay safe over there.
You too.